Hey gamers, retrostitchgaming here, back again with another retro game review, and this time we're reviewing my personal all-time favourite game from my all-time favourite franchise, the amazing classic survival horror game Resident Evil 2. RE2 was released by Capcom in 1998 for Sony's PlayStation before later being ported to the N64, Dreamcast, GameCube and more. As this is my favourite game, we own it for all of those systems. The game was developed by 40 to 50 people over 21 months. The initial game, now referred to as Resident Evil 1.5, was scrapped when it was around 2/3 complete after Mikami decided it was inadequate. This original representation varied drastically from the finished product, with one of the playable characters being dropped altogether. The game has appeared on several best games of all time lists and has a full remake on the way in early 2019, which we can't wait for. We pre-ordered our copy as soon as it became available.
It's the 29th of September 1998 and 2 months have passed since the horrific events of the first game. Now most citizens of the Western American town Raccoon City have been transformed by the T-virus into flesh-eating zombies, just like the ones found in the Spencer Mansion by the RPD Star Team in the first game. You play as either rookie cop Leon S. Kennedy, arriving into Raccoon City to report to the RPD for his first day of work, or Claire Redfield, a college student who comes to town in search of her brother Chris, one of the lead protagonists of the first game. The two playable characters quickly realise something isn't quite right and soon bump into one another and must work together to escape this nightmare. They decide their best hope is to head to what they think will be safety of the police station, but are soon split up by unforeseen circumstances, and there's a lot more going on at the RPD than they could have ever imagined.
Just like in the first game, you get the choice of two different playable characters, Leon S. Kennedy or Claire Redfield. The game stays the same on the whole, but for some different side characters or slightly different interactions with NPCs. You also have a different supporting character depending on who you play as, but more on that later. The really cool thing about this game though is the A and B scenarios. When you finish the A scenario with one character, you unlock the B scenario with the other, in which you play the game through the other character's perspective. Actions taken in the A scenario affect the B scenario, such as the availability of certain items may alter. Because of this cool inclusion, it makes 4 different scenarios, which makes for tons of replayability.
Resident Evil 2 is your classic survival horror game, one of the best in the genre in our opinion. It has the same basic game mechanics as the first game. You explore Raccoon City and several areas in the city, such as the police station, the sewers and an underground laboratory, whilst the whole time solving many puzzles and fighting off the living dead. As with other classic Resident Evil games, you have limited inventory space and have a short supply of ammo and healing items to keep you going throughout the game, forcing you to tactically plan out your item usage. This is the first Resident Evil game to introduce changes to posture and movement speed, to indicate the condition of your character. The more damage you take, the slower your character will become, as they limp along holding their side, becoming much more vulnerable to enemies.
The game starts literally with a bang. There is no time to adjust or learn what's going on. Like in the slow start in the first game, you are thrown straight into an open area full of zombies on fire with just a handful of bullets, which really sets the tone for the rest of the game. When completing the game, you receive a ranking in how well you performed, based on time, amount of saves, and how many items you've used. Depending on how well you did, bonus weapons and costumes can be unlocked, as well as 2 standalone minigames called the Fourth Survivor and the Tofu Survivor, where you must reach a goal whilst fighting enemies with only the default item loadout.
Obviously, you are once again facing off against hordes of the living dead, but there are many more monsters you must look out for, such as zombie dogs who make a return, giant spiders, a huge alligator, and the infamous lickers. I think everyone who's played this game will remember that first terrifying licker encounter. You also have Jay, a mutated William Birkin, stalking you throughout the game, as well as Mr. X in the B scenario.
Like in the first game, depending on who you play as, you will be joined by a different supporting character, who you will get to play as for short spells during the game. If you play as Claire, you will be joined by Sherry Birkin, a young girl who's all alone trying to survive in the RPD, whilst her father is going through some pretty unpleasant changes. And her mother just doesn't seem to care about her all that much.
I know what you're looking for. You came for the G-Virus, didn't you? But you'll never take it from me. This is my husband's legacy.
If you play as Leon, however, you will be joined by Ada Wong, a mysterious, secretive woman who plays her cards very close to her chest. And as the game progresses, you realise she's a lot more in the know about what's going on than she makes out, as she is some sort of spy or secret agent. Hers and Leon's relationship over the years is a very strange one.
Hand over the G-Virus.
I don't believe this. Annette was right. About everything.
That's why I told you to leave without me, but you wouldn't listen.
The classic Resident Evil tank controls return for this instalment, which as we stated last time, we love. Like we know a lot of the old school Resident Evil fans do. But we do know for someone new to them, going back to play these games for the first time might find them irritating and clunky, which we couldn't blame them for. The game also keeps its beautiful pre-rendered backdrops, which look just as great as before and help Raccoon City feel more alive and terrifying. It also keeps the fixed camera angle as well, which we love as they add so much tension to the game and really keep you on your toes as you never know what could be around that corner until it's too late. As well as the door open loading screens, which also add to the fear factor. The soundtrack is truly epic. It's such a classic with so many iconic and memorable tracks, such as the RPD main hall or safe room tracks, that really stick with you, and just like all the other details in the game, the soundtrack manages to add to the visuals, camera angles and gameplay to make for one terrifying atmosphere.
Overall, we give this game a 9.5 out of 10. It's my favourite game of all time, so I'd love to give it a 10, but that would be being biased. I'm probably still being biased with a 9.5, but I don't care that much, to be honest. I just love this game so much. I still play it regularly to this day. It took everything from the incredible first game and improved it immensely. It's one of the best games of all time in our opinion, and arguably the best survival horror game of all time. This is a sequel done right, and I really cannot contain my excitement for the remake. Everything we've seen so far looks incredible, but it's going to be hard to top the original. But they did it with the first game's remake, so if they do even half as good a job with the RE2 remake, we really are in for one hell of a treat.
As always, we hope you enjoyed this review and found it useful if you were looking for more information. Don't forget to check out our other reviews and top 10s if you're interested, and subscribe to our channel for tons of gaming content almost daily. If there's any retro games you'd like us to review, just let us know in the comments below, and if we have it in our collection, we'll review it. We've been Retro Stitch Gaming, thanks for watching and we'll see you next time.